Will it be lucky number week 13 for your fantasy squad? Let's tap in and get all the must-adds for the upcoming week.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Better late than never, they always say, and week 13 is coming in red hot. On the latest episode of your daily source for fantasy hockey, it is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Big time upcoming week. Must add targets on today's show. We're still showing love to the everydayers who continue to make us their first listen every single day, putting us as the top podcast network here on the Locked On Sports Podcast Network. We appreciate you. We see you, and we need to get after it, Mr. Rodin, with a big week 13. I've got a bunch of forwards I'm ready to talk about, a couple of blue liners, an honorable mention or two, perhaps. What are you seeing for this upcoming week? I'm ready to go.
I think the immediate reaction going into week 13 is the Carolina Hurricanes. Another 5-game schedule this time for Carolina. Was the New York Rangers a few weeks ago. But with a 5-game schedule, you got to take advantage, especially with some of these injuries that are coming into play, going into the new year as well. 5 games, like I said, they are taking on the Rangers, Penguins, Canadians, and then to end the week in a back-to-back situation, the Avalanche and the New Jersey Devils. So a little bit of a mixed bag here, a lot of really good competition for them, but you got to take advantage, especially when you look at Seth Jarvis being on the IR. Who is going to fill his position? Who's going to get some opportunity? Immediately go to Jackson, Blake, and Logan Stankoven, guys who are going to get mixed and matched on that top line with Svechnikov and Aho, who can be pulled in place as well on that first power play unit on the right side where Seth Jarvis is going to be. So I think immediately go to look at those two forwards as well. On the back end, Sean Walker. I've added him a few times throughout the season so far. He's been a really good peripheral add, especially in categorical formats. He's got 11 points, 18 penalty minutes, 82 shots, 59 hits, and 57 blocks as well. So if you need some help on the back end, 5-game schedule is really good right now for this team. Get a piece where you can.
The Carolina Hurricanes sit tops in the Eastern Conference with 49 points, tied with the Detroit Red Wings. We know it's the same old song and dance with this team, isn't it, Steele? It's not even what they do in the regular season. You know they're going to be near the top of the table or at the top of the table. It's what they do come the postseason. But for now, it's steady as she goes with fantasy value. And thank you for highlighting this. 5 games, you got to pounce. And I spoke about Logan Stankoven at length coming into this season. I thought now settled in Carolina, this was going to be the stepping out year, and 6 goals in 37 games. Let's be clear. I spoke about him, about disappointing players. This guy has been frustrating for me. I had him in a number of leagues, and I've had to drop him, but now it's go time for Stankoven. Seth Jarvis is still going to be out probably another few weeks, and like you said, we always like to look in-house first for where those minutes are going to be distributed. 17 penalty minutes, 16 total points. Stankoven, 80 shots on net. You don't really get this guy for peripheral coverage, but you'll take what you can get. It's the deployment. It's how good the Carolina Hurricanes are. And like you said, it's the 5 games. Have a look. Ilya Sorokin. Not going to pretend like I've watched a ton of this kid's game. However, prototypical classic power forward Russian player, killed it in the OHL last year. He's playing with McMann Celebrini Steele, and in 5 games, he's got 5 points. That's all I really need to say about this angle. 30% on Fantrax, 3 on Yahoo. We know what McMann Celebrini is bringing to the table this year, so I don't think I need to make this a serious sell. 30% on Fantrax, 2 on Yahoo. He's out there. They've got the Ducks, Wild, and Bolts this week. Mixed bag there, kind of a tough schedule, but if he continues to put up points, he will stay with Celebrini, and this Sharks team is looking dangerous.
I'll be talking about a San Jose Shark player later in the episode, but again, with a lot of young talent, you got to take a look at who's hot and who's not right now and who gets to play with a guy like McMann Celebrini. And if he continues that, jump all over it. Like I said, I'll get you a San Jose player later in the episode. I want to talk about a defenseman in the Metropolitan, though. Kris Letang, I think, needs to be talked about as well. Regardless of what you think of the Pittsburgh Penguins situation, whether they're going to be a playoff contending team or even just a bubble team, be it, they have still a lot of value. And I think Kris Letang needs to be spoken on about as well. 37% rostered right now. He's on pace for a really good season of 45 plus points right now. He's got 19 points in 37 games. He still chips in somewhat on the second unit power play second unit. He's got 7 power play points there. Sometimes he gets on the first power play unit with Crosby as well. He's filling in the peripherals, but he's been real hot over the last 3 to 5 games as well. 3-game point streak. He's got 6 penalty minutes in those 3 games. He's shooting the puck a lot. He's throwing his weight around. He's blocking shots. The peripherals are increasing over the last week stretch. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, they also have 4 games this week. I really like the schedule for them. Starting off the week with the Carolina Hurricanes, then they have a somewhat of a back-to-back situation or a home-and-home situation with the Detroit Red Wings, and then the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have not been great as well of recently. So I really like the schedule for Pittsburgh. You can even look to maybe, again, like someone who you've picked up multiple times. I've picked up a few times in Anthony Mantha, maybe Novak still filling in some opportunity in that top 6 forward group, but really like Kris Letang going into this week.
I completely agree with your take here on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I see them as a bubble team. This team is going to hover around the wild card mark, and that's just because of how good Sidney Crosby is. He has 39 points, and he might drag this team into the playoffs almost single-handedly, but I think the level he is on with the Olympics here and just how good he still is, fantasy or otherwise, he's good enough to keep this team competitive, and that's going to keep peripheral fantasy value cooking. Take a look into the numbers for the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is the 3rd best power play in the NHL still. They're clicking at almost 30%. So you get a bit of peripheral love there from Kris Letang. Just a really impressive player still getting it done at that age despite serious injuries throughout his career. I like that you're highlighting this player because even though the Pittsburgh Penguins are 2-5-3 in their last 10, like you said, fantasy value to be had. I've got a number of other players I want to talk about. I'm glad you have David Riddick in there because, my goodness, has he been sensational. We've got more content coming up the rest of the week. We're still here 5 episodes a week. A little late on today's show, but usually Sunday through Thursday you can find us. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. You want to check out Game Time right now because the World Cup is back. And Game Time is where you're getting your tickets, but it's not just that. It's ice hockey too, atmosphere, unmatched. Watching the game at home is great, but being in the building is even different. That's the only thing that you need to get used to other than getting tickets with Game Time. Avoid the long queues, endless screens, and prices changing at cash out. With the Game Time app, it gives you the advantage. Back to the fans. The hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets in just a few steps. Pull up the Game Time app. Check out upcoming NHL games. Boom. Easy to find seats with the zone deals. They're clutch. You choose the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. Download the Game Time app today.
And thank you so much for making Locked On Fantasy Hockey your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. So take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get fantasy hockey with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonfantasyhockey.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Once again, we appreciate all that love and support you've been showing Flip and I throughout the holiday season, all year long, especially since we got here 4 years ago. Like I said, we appreciate all that. Flip, over to you, my friend. I do have a few goalies I want to talk about. I know you said you had one as well, maybe an honorable mention, but there's just so many good options going into week 13.
Hey, sometimes you're going to have to hone in, put the blinders on, tap into the show, and pick a few. But right now, Steele, and you know me, I've been floundering. You almost need to get lucky at this point. We spoke about the window closing for making a move. It's about to slam shut on you if you're not getting a little bit aggressive on the waiver wire. An aggressive player in his own right, Ryan Hartman. I understand he's gone cold over the last 2 games, no points, but he is playing with Kaprizov. And I know you've been watching this hockey team very closely, but they are looking lethal. And it makes a whole lot of sense. We understand the energy of bringing in a player that Quinn Hughes does. You've got the reinvigoration of a roster. They're going for it. but also just what he's done on the ice. Matt Boldy is looking dangerous once again. The team has got the energy flowing, and a player that's Ryan Hartman with ice time on the rise. You still get peripheral love, even though he goes cold with the offense, throws his weight around, blocks shots. He still gets PIMs this year, 17 penalty minutes. He's got 15 points. The deployment is there for me, Steele, and this is a team, you know I'm going to say it, you want to get a piece of the Minnesota Wild right now? Why not their top-line center, at least for the moment, in Ryan Hartman? This is a player that I like to add and keep, if I'm being honest, and 28% on Fantrax to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. 4 games this week for the Wild. It's Ryan Hartman go time, baby.
That's what I love about him, even if he's not bringing that offensive touch, which he's not really known for. He gets hot and cold streaks. He does bring the peripherals. So if you're in a categorical format or some of those fantasy points jump off the page, Ryan Hartman is a great option. Any Minnesota Wild is a great option, in my opinion. It's a little bias, bias going into that one, but I want some talk about some goaltenders going into this week as well. Like we know, it's always a thin market out there, but obviously with Ilya Sorokin not playing since December 20th, he ends up on the IR. It's David Riddick's crease for the time being. He's been real solid as well. A 919 save percentage, a 9-4-2 record, a 2 shutouts, and 230 goals against average. He's been phenomenal over the last 5 games, even though they lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets, still posted a 912 save percentage. Every game over the last 5 has been a 912 save percentage or even higher. So he's been great. He's going to get the stretch while Ilya Sorokin recovers from injury. But just a few other goaltenders to talk about as well. Obviously, we can look to the Buffalo Sabres, who are on an absolute heater right now. UPL and Alex Lyon, whoever's in the cage, they've been phenomenal for the Buffalo Sabres down this stretch. Anton Forsberg as well, still taking over the time, while Darcy Kemper is on the IR too. All of these goaltenders are David Riddick's at 26% rostered, but Forsberg, UPL, and Alex Lyon, they're all under 22% rostered. They are available. And finally, if you do want to take a shot on a guy like Levi Merlanen of the Ottawa Senators, that is a possible option as well, with Linus Ullmark taking a leave of absence. We don't know the timeline. We don't know when he will return to the lineup. You could take a shot on Merlanen as well, although the stats don't necessarily back it up. He has also been putting up some poor performances when he is in the cage or in the blue paint. So that's another option, but I really like the 4 or 5 I first listed, starting off with David Riddick.
I think David Riddick jumps off the page as the top option. The New York Islanders have also played really good hockey for the most part this season. They're almost at the top of the division. We spoke about them a little bit last week, so I'll leave that one for now. But thank you for mentioning Big Save Dave, because this guy has been playing really good hockey. He also, Steele, has the tie for the 3rd best save percentage in the NHL and the 6th best goals against average. So the numbers back it up. The team's playing well. It's his crease right now. Thank you for mentioning Linus Ullmark as well. You're all over the goaltending, so I don't need to talk about it much more. David Riddick was the one. Let me talk about the back end in a second and after the break. Alex Laferriere has been a forward that's caught my attention a number of times over the last, year and a half. Like his game, he's not afraid to mix it up. He's got 101 hits on the year, Steele. The shot total is right there on the rise as well. 88 shots on net. He's got 10 goals in 37 games, which might not exactly jump off the page. But for a player at 24 years old, he's got the 18 points in his bag. He's chipping in with the hits, 8 penalty minutes, and cherry on top, ice time on the rise, and playing with Kopitar and Adrian Kempe on the top line. This guy is one of those players that you look down and he snaps and he has a 4 or 5 hit game, a major, and a goal. You're looking nice for the week. Perfect stream option over the next week or two. If he sticks on the top line, maybe a little longer. Avs, Bolts, and Wild this week, which is almost why I didn't put him on here. But I think this might be one of those ones you can ride him for a week or two. He gets cold, dump him. But for now, I'm liking the deployment on a really good line, and you get the peripheral coverage. I like Laferriere 15% on Yahoo.
I think the same could be exactly said for a guy like Mason Marchment with a new club in Columbus right now. He's been on absolute heater in the first 3 games, 4 points, 3 goals in those 3 games. He's adding penalty minutes as well. I don't know if you saw that slight knee-on-knee with Matthew Schaefer last night or 2 days ago, but Matthew Barzal is definitely going to be getting some supplemental discipline action. He should be suspended for that just going straight to him and slashing. Anyways, Mason Marchment, I don't think he should be receiving anything on this. He should be in the lineup. 4 games for the Columbus Blue Jackets this week. Ottawa Senators, New Jersey Devils, Buffalo Sabres, and Pittsburgh Penguins. So I really love this schedule for Columbus, whether they win or lose. Mason Marchment's going to be providing fantasy value all week long. 4-game schedule. He's getting the highest amount of average time on ice throughout his entire career with the Columbus Blue Jackets, over 18 minutes of average ice time, which is about a minute and a half more than he typically got 2 years ago, this season with the Seattle Kraken as well. So really liking what I'm seeing from Mason Marchment in the first 3 games. He's on the top line with Kirill Marchenko and Adam Fantilli, playing with some really top tier players. Still haven't had enough, I'm not saying enough peripheral value right now, like 0 blocks, only 1 hit in the three games. That will start to chip in as he gets more comfortable. 7 shots on net in 3 games. Like I said, 3 goals. I really like his deployment right now in Columbus. Whether they win or lose, he's all over the ice, and he's providing offensive touch for them.
This has been a really puzzling team for me in Columbus, considering how much love we had for them coming into the season. And it really comes down to 112 goals for me, Steele, sitting in the bottom half of the NHL in goals for. That's what really doesn't make sense to me because of all of the talent that they have in that forward group. Mason Marchment has been one of those plug-and-play type bottom 6 forwards. I like this guy's game. When you take a look at that big win for the Columbus Blue Jackets, I believe it was 4-2 over those New York Islanders we were just talking about. Maybe this is a turning point situation because before the break, a big 3-1 victory for the LA Kings. So if this team starts to go, I love this even more. Mason Marchment, have a look quickly before the break. I've got a couple of blue liners here. Bowen, Byram, I don't want to say your boy, but I know you've spoken about him.
Not my boy. He's definitely not my boy.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. But right now, I'm liking what he's bringing to the table. 2 goals, 3 assists in the last 3 games. He's eating a ton of minutes, Steele. You also get a little bit of peripheral love. 47 block shots, 22 hits. At times, he makes a lot of really poor mistakes. And I understand a frustrating fantasy asset because he does have the tendency to really go hot and cold, but I don't need to sell you on this. The Buffalo Sabres are a wagon right now. And I don't know if I want to throw that term out again if they turn south, but right now they're on fire. And Bowen Byram's playing good hockey, eating a ton of minutes, and providing a lot of fantasy value. Have a look at Bowen Byram if you need some love on the back end. The Sabres this week, Blues, Stars, and Jackets, mixed bag. He's out there at 18% on Yahoo Steele. Considering what he's been doing of late, I really don't understand that number. Maybe it's because of the Buffalo Sabres and that prolonged cold snaps that he has. For now, though, I'm going after Bowen Byram because the blue line is thin. I like this option for the upcoming week.
Really good option. I also like Matthias Samuelsson. He's been a keeper of mine. Not a keeper, but he's been on my team since I added him about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He brings peripherals, but Bowen Byram's a really good option. I think if you can get any piece of this Buffalo Sabres team while they continue this heater, you're in a good position going into week 13, and even if you hold them going into week 14. When we come back after the break, of course, big time bets. I got 2 more players I want to talk about. I'll get to them real quickly, but of course, big slate of games, which we will get to with big time bets. Once again, thank you so much for making Locked On Fantasy Hockey your first listen every single day, Monday through Friday, Sunday through Thursday is typically when you can find us. A little late here, but like you said, better late than never. Week 13 waiver wire ads flip. I got 2 players. I'll get to them real quickly, and then let's get to big time bets. Bobby McMann of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I was very critical of his game. I mean, we've been very critical of a lot of players on the Maple Leaf squad this season, and I really didn't like how he was playing for the pretty much first 30 games of this season. But recently, I don't know who it was, but someone lit a fire under his butt because he has been all over the ice, offensive, defensive. He's getting in the mix, in the battles. He's throwing hits around. He's throwing his weight around. I really liked what I've seen over the last 5 games from Bobby McMann. 4 points in that stretch, 6 penalty minutes. He's shooting the puck, like I said. He's got 15 shots in 15 shots in 5 games. He's throwing his weight around. Just looking at his peripheral stats now, 38 penalty minutes, 80 hits, 69 shots, 14 blocks. Projected on the first line with Austin Matthews and Max Domi as well. So maybe that's what's got the fire going underneath him. So I really like what I said from Bobby McMann. 3 games this week for the Toronto Maple Leafs, New Jersey Devils, Winnipeg Jets, and the New York Islanders, as well as, like I said, I want to talk about a San Jose Shark player. Colin Graff has also been pretty solid for this San Jose Sharks team. I just want to pull up the schedule for them as well real quickly. San Jose Sharks, 3 games. Again, more of a competitive matchup this week. Anaheim Ducks, Minnesota Wild, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, like you said. But 21 points in 37 games, 43 shots, 31 blocks, 36 hits. He's throwing his weight around. He's in the top 6 forward group. He's projected right now with Wennberg and Toffoli. He's played a little bit with Celebrini as well. So if he gets up there, he's going to get some offensive touches and fantasy value. Just really, to me, 2 really good depth options who are getting some top 6 forward minute right now.
Absolutely love that you're talking about Colin Graff. He's been mixed in and around with Celebrini as well. Those are the kinds of deployment angles you definitely have to jump over when a player is as hot and having as good of a year as Macklin Celebrini. You know you're not going to be able to get him. Get as close as you possibly can to a player that's Steele. I don't know about you, and this isn't a bold take. To me, if he is not on Team Canada, that's a miss. We also know he's got that serious chemistry with Sidney Crosby from the World Championships. Sidebar, Macklin Celebrini best be on that team, or I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm still going to watch every single second. However, one more player, and I didn't know if I wanted to actually put him on my list because he's up to 67 on Fantrax, 54 on Yahoo, so he's probably not out there for you, but still 54% on Fantrax for Noah Hannafin makes no sense to me. The Golden Knights have the Wild, Preds, Blues, and Sharks this week. Pretty good week. And this guy is having a great season. 13 points in 26 games, 42 block shots, couple of hits there, 4 penalty minutes, but it's his play of late. He has, let me take this in here, Steele. You know me with the numbers. He's got 7 assists over his last 4 games. Ice time steady as she goes. Getting shots on net as well, Steele. Shots on net total up to 70. I think Noah Hannafin is a sensational all-around defenseman. Like I said, tough to get him this week. But for some reason, if he is out there, Steele, this isn't one of those ones I'm concerned about. I'm adding him and I'm keeping him. The Vegas Golden Knights are still going to be a top team come the end of the year. They figured it out a little bit. I like Noah Hannafin a lot. If he is out there, that's a slip. Grab him and keep him. That's how good he has been this season.
He was definitely, it was debatable whether to drop him earlier on in the season. I think he had a few injuries, but even just the lack of production we saw from him, definitely was debatable. But yeah, right now he's definitely an add and keep at this point. 54% on Yahoo is definitely too low right now. Big time bets, so many games to look forward to here. I'm really confident. I mean, I'm confident now, but who knows how I'm going to be feeling after it happens. I'll just rattle off all 3 of my picks here. First off, Ducks on the money line against those San Jose Sharks. Just 2 really young teams who have a lot of speed, who have a lot of depth as well, veteran presence. But the Ducks have typically taken it to the Sharks over the last 10 games, 8-2-0 in the last 10, money line minus 194. Really like the Ducks at home in this situation. Like I said, if I get the Bruins at plus money, especially against the Calgary Flames, I'm going to take them every single day of the week. So Bruins on the money line against the Flames at plus 112, 6-4-0 in the last 10 games. However, they actually do play really well in Calgary. They are 4-1-0 in the last 5 games on the road in Calgary. So I really like the Bruins in this instance as well. Panthers on the money line at home against the Washington Capitals, minus 128. 7-3-0, I believe, in the last 10 games against the Washington Capitals. They have lost 3 of the last 4, but typically they play really well at home against this Washington team that has struggled over the last 10 to 15 games themselves. So like the Panthers at home, like the Ducks at home, and I'm also taking the Bruins on the road at plus 112.
Absolutely love the Florida Panthers at home in this spot. The Washington Capitals, I'm still going to say this is not a team that's built to go on a prolonged run. However, they are still serving fantasy value and having a pretty good year. Only 1 win over their last 4 games, though, Steele. They dropped a couple of ugly ones to the Detroit Red Wings. I like the Cats here at home big time. Thank you for covering it nicely. The Winnipeg Jets have not been playing good hockey. Actually, they've been playing the worst hockey I've seen from this club in a number of years, Steele. 1 win in their last 9 games is a problem. They're about to bury themselves in that Central Division just in time for the Minnesota Wild to continue to go on an impressive heater. Hit me with the Edmonton Oilers here on the road. Head-to-head, it's an even split, 5-3-2. Basically, 5-3-2 for the Edmonton Oilers. So take the Oilers here on the money line. You're probably going to get a pretty good price. My lock of the night, the total goals scored in the last 3 between the Nashville Predators and Utah Mammoth combined 23 goals over the last 3 games. 4 of the last 5 between these two have gone over the number. I like this one to go over the number in a hurry. Nashville's actually been scoring goals this year. Say what you will about the rest of the team. They're figuring it out a little bit offensively. I like the over. Utah scores goals in bunches, tend to sometimes allow goals in bunches. I like this one at the over 6.5, 5.5 if you want to tease it down, put it into a bigger parlay. I like the over here, big time lock of the night.
Loving that game as well. I got a player prop from there. Hopefully Dylan Guenther goes off a little bit. Looking for 3+ shots, just an honorable mention. Loving those picks as well, Flip. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey your first listen every single day. Make sure you subscribe and follow so you get all of the latest episodes. Follow us on X at LO_fantasy NHL. And once again, make sure you ask for the Everydayer Club, ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel, and on audio. Make sure you make your second listen NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL, and we will see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.